So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. In today's video, we are back with yet another rebuild from the crazy trade deadline we saw, and it's going to be Brandon Ingram to the Toronto Raptors. At any other deadline, this would maybe be the biggest, if not one of the biggest moves that actually was made. But here in 2025, in the reality that we are now living in, this was almost kind of swept under the radar. It was a late night move that I feel like not a lot of people talked about, and it's an interesting one because it's definitely going to affect both Toronto and New Orleans moving forward. So this was a deal that I really think is a future-ish kind of move for the Raptors. This is a team that is currently 16-37, and they're definitely not going to be making any noise this season. So it was Bruce Brown, it was Kelly Olynyk, it was a future first-round pick via the Indiana Pacers, and a future second, all going to New Orleans, and in return, of course, Brandon Ingram is now a Raptor. So the thing for me on this is I'm not sure what the Raptors are going to do with Brandon Ingram this season. I think there's a big part of it that is saying, maybe we just let him sit out the rest of this season. Maybe we pay him this offseason and we go from there. Because this Raptors team attempting to win basketball games, given where they are right now, probably not the best thing. We'll get into some more of my thoughts once we do actually get into the rebuild. But first and foremost, let me know any other video ideas down below in the comment section. We definitely are still playing catch up a bit in terms of just some of the crazy blockbuster trades that went down last week at the deadline. So we're going to get to all of those. Do not worry. If there's anyone really specific you want me to do maybe next or later on this week, let me hear it down below in the comment section. So I'm excited for this one today. I think this is an overall pretty good move from the Toronto Raptors. Again, we'll get into some more of my thoughts real quickly. But yeah, man, it's the NBA trade deadline. And basically not a week later, but we're continuing to make videos on blockbuster moves where I don't think anybody saw this many crazy trades coming. So I'm excited for this one. Let's get into it. As I sit here on Monday morning and record this video, and as I mentioned in the intro, this Toronto Raptors team is not having a good season. They were never supposed to have a good season this year. They're currently 16-37, and in all likelihood will be competing in the Capture the Flag sweepstakes, that of course being Cooper Flag. So this is a team that of course, made a decision to add a guy like Brandon Ingram in what we would likely and generally consider a win now move. But Brandon Ingram is hurt. He hasn't played since December 7th, and I haven't really seen many updates for when he is going to be returning. So in all likelihood, I think the best course of action for this Raptors team is to hold out Brandon Ingram for the rest of the season. And again, I don't know if that's the craziest sentence I've ever said, but just thinking about it logistically, you do not want to win games if you're Toronto right now. You are not trying to get to the point where you're going to end up with like the 7th or 8th overall pick. That does nothing for the future of your franchise, and I genuinely do believe that they are going to be better off if they were to hold out BI. So again, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if that's absolutely crazy. I understand that trading for a guy and then basically just going ahead and giving him a pretty big contract this offseason without seeing him play a single game for your team can sometimes be a little crazy. But this felt like the Toronto Raptors were kind of getting ahead of free agency, right? It felt like they were clearing out some salary with Kelly Olynyk and Bruce Brown and kind of just bringing in Brandon Ingram with likely the promise that they were going to pay him this offseason. So that's kind of my thought. They didn't give up a ton in terms of value to get BI, and I think this is a negotiating move that is really going to get them kind of first in that door and first in that offer window when it does come in July. So that's just kind of my thought process. Again, I could be very, very wrong on that. The way we're going to do it here today is, as you can see, I play with injuries off. You're probably all very much aware of that and familiar with the way these rebuilds go at this point, but if you hop into start today, even with injuries off, it still shows the players who are currently injured. So according to 2K, it's going to be 1 to 2 more weeks. I don't know if that's going to be the case in real life. It just really didn't seem like we had ever gotten a positive Brandon Ingram injury update since he got hurt in early December. And I don't really know what I'm going to do, right? I'm not going to turn his injury off because that doesn't benefit me whatsoever. But again, I'd like to be consistent throughout my rebuilds. And most of the time I would typically turn this off, but I don't really think it's going to benefit us very much. So we're not going to play him right now. Maybe I'll adjust the rotation in 1 to 2 weeks. Maybe I won't. I actually have not decided yet. But let's go ahead and talk about this roster as things currently stand right now. Here at the point guard spot, Emmanuel Quickley. He got paid 5 years, $162.5 million. That is a lot of money for Emmanuel Quickley. I am not sitting here and telling you he is a bad player. I am just telling you that is a lot of money to kind of go ahead and give out to a guy who is a good player. He's just not really a star level player or anything like that. So we'll keep an eye on that as things do progress. He is a very decent, option at the point guard spot. Not saying he sucks or anything like that. I just do not want people to, misconstrue the point I'm trying to make there. Jamal Shed. I'm excited to see what his future looks like. He's only 22. I know he develops well in this game, and in all likelihood, he is going to be my backup point guard for all 3 years of this video. We head to the shooting guard spot, which is going to be an interesting course of dialogue the way they go about this position, because I think when Brandon Ingram is healthy, I think there's an argument to be made to start RJ Barrett at the 2, maybe have Grady Dick come off the bench. One thing there is maybe you're lacking a bit of shooting in that starting 5. I think Grady Dick is definitely going to start for the rest of year 1, and we'll kind of go from there. But I think he's going to be a really bright spot for this team for years to come. Behind him, we got Jacoby Walter, again, only 20. I really think Toronto's done a nice job of acquiring and drafting and developing some young talent. So I am planning to play him at the backup 2 for now. Again, we'll kind of take that on a year-to-year basis. You can, of course, ignore 38-year-old 70 overall Garrett Temple. The small forward spot. RJ Barrett has been pretty good when he's been playing. I'll give you that. I know he's concussed right now, I believe anyways. He's 24 years old. He's an 84 overall. And although he's maybe not the superstar that people thought he was going to be when he got taken 3rd overall behind Zion Williamson and John Morant back in 2019, he's still a good player. And I don't want people to misunderstand the player that RJ Barrett is, because I think he can be really good. And then again, we've talked a lot about Brandon Ingram. His fit in New Orleans just never really felt right. I mean, this has been the season from hell for the Pelicans, and obviously BI and New Orleans were not able to agree on any sort of long-term extension. My hope and my thought is that he has something, at least verbally, kind of worked out with Toronto, because they didn't give up a ton. We talked about it a little bit. They didn't give up a ton in value. One future first-round pick. It's in 2026. It's via the Indiana Pacers. It's not going to get you a superstar. The players they gave up in Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk were pretty much just salary fillers. And, of course, now you got BI. So I think they're going to pay him long term. I am likely not going to play him right now, but he, of course, is going to be the focal point of this rebuild as we move forward. Jamison Battle here, 23 years old, will likely be the backup 3 for year 1. We move to the power forward spot. Scotty Barnes has been fantastic. He's 23 years old. He is the face of this franchise, and he will continue to be moving forward. I like Scotty Barnes a lot. I really, 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 really like when point god Scotty Barnes kind of takes over, man. So I'm excited to see. He's going to be a star for future and many, many years to come. And, of course, at only 23, the sky is truly the limit. Figuring out what we want to do here to back up 4 will certainly be interesting, because you got Boucher, you got Abaje, and you got Mbogo, who all probably deserve playing time. So whether I move one of them to the backup 3, maybe they play ahead of Jamison Battle, that's still TBD. And then finally the center spot, where there is just Jakob Poeltl at this point. Kelly Olynyk, of course, now being gone. There's not a lot here. I mean, we have Orlando Robinson on a 2-way who we could sign for the remainder of the season, but I think a more likely scenario is me maybe moving an undersized Boucher to the backup 5, letting Abaje or Mbogo play the backup 4, and we'll just kind of go from there. So, again, this Raptors team is 16-37. They're not good. They are in the capture the flag sweepstakes, and quite honestly, I think it would be, pretty much the best case scenario if they did not play Brandon Ingram, just for, their overall, kind of situation as a team and for his health moving forward, because there's no reason for them to kind of force the issue right now. They're not going to be competing for anything serious this year. So those are my thoughts on the initial trade. I do not know if we're going to do, a new look Pelicans rebuild. That, maybe if you want to see it, let me know. But here we are today, currently 13th in the Eastern Conference, and yeah, we're going to set that rotation. I have gone ahead and set this the best way I possibly can. I don't think there's many major surprises in this starting 5. Again, we are not going to be bringing back Brandon Ingram this season. Whether Toronto does or not in real life is, of course, TBD and kind of up in the air, but here today we are not going to be doing that. Emmanuel quickly, Grady Dick will be my backcourt again. 2 younger players I'm hoping can really just look to develop in what we're going to likely consider a throwaway season. RJ Barrett, hopefully he continues to play well at that small forward spot. Scotty Barnes at the 4, again, the face of the franchise. I want to see him continue to develop as much as possible. And finally, Jakob Poeltl at the center spot. So, I want to make it clear, this isn't like a bad starting 5. This is a, team, maybe not full of superstars or anything like that, but this is a really okay starting 5. And I think this is certainly something Toronto's going to be able to work with, especially when you throw Brandon Ingram into the mix come off-season time. So, because there's a lot of differentiating points. Like, this isn't the Wizards we're working with here. Although they don't have a great record here in Toronto, there's definitely a future here. So, just want to make sure that everybody understands the difference. Chai Abaje will be my 6th man. He's going to end up playing the backup 3. You got Boucher, who actually didn't go down when I moved him to the center spot. Interesting, maybe a little surprising, but he will be there. He was also a name I thought they could consider moving at the deadline. Expiring contract, 30-plus years old, but nope, they opted to keep him. I believe he's actually the only remaining member of that 2019 championship team, if my My math is correct on that. And Bogo is going to end up playing the backup 4. You got Jacoby Walter here playing the backup 2, and then finally Jamal Shed at the backup point guard spot. So, there's some decent young talent here. And again, in what I'm going to consider a season that is lost at this point with 16 wins and 37 losses, the one goal is just to kind of develop and hopefully lose as many games as possible. So I will see you guys at the end of, the rest of year number 1, I guess. We ended year 1 here in Toronto with a record of 29-53. I don't love winning close to 30 games, especially when there are, the Washington Wizards of the world out there, but it's okay. I don't think Cooper Flagg is going to end up as a Raptor, and maybe that's for the best. We have a lot of forwards on this team, so I don't know. Nikola Jokic, what would that be? His 4th career MVP. You got Alex Sarr taking home Rookie of the Year. Who actually is the favorite to win Rookie of the Year? Like the betting favorite to win Rookie of the Year. I genuinely don't know the answer to it. Is it Yves Missi? I don't know. Naz Reid is your 6th man of the year. You got Wemby taking home. Depoy, Thompson wins most improved. Trae Young, clutch player of the year. And then Mark Daigneault, Oklahoma City wins 64 games. He wins coach of the year. All right. It is a safe bet that we will not be in the play-in here in year 1. Crazy enough, we are actually not too far off in terms of standings. I mean, win-loss, yeah, we're pretty far off. But just the fact that we're a 12 seed, that's pretty funny. So, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of the basement of the Eastern Conference that we're just kind of slightly above right now. And then you got the Sixers, who, of course, have basically gone all in and are still, only 3 games better than us. Here's a look at the Western Conference if you'd like to pause. Let's talk about some of the numbers. Again, maybe a little bit skewed because it does kind of bring in the numbers from, pre-deadline. And like Ingram didn't actually average 22.2 points a game for us. He averaged that in the 18 games he played over in New Orleans, but it still says that he did for us. So, little skewed. RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, Grady Dick, Jakob Poeltl. You got Chris Boucher, Achai Agbaje, Jacoby Walter, and then Jamal Shed. So, I really like where this team is at right now. I don't know what moves are going to be coming this offseason in terms of major trades or anything like that, but we certainly have a really solid foundation set in place that we are going to be able to work with. It is a New York Knicks and Oklahoma City Thunder finals, and it is going to be the Thunder getting it done and SGA taking home finals MVP. All right, we now have kind of full, reign to do whatever we want in terms of trades. Again, I'm sure many of you are aware this is not a realistic rebuild before we do get in to whatever the first move is going to be, but let's see how the lottery goes for us. I am hoping it's going to be pretty well. We are currently projected the 7th overall selection, and we end up with number 7. All right, you know what? Don't go up, don't go down. I can live with that. Darko's here. I think overall wise, he's an okay head coach. I don't have any, super positive or super negative thoughts about him. The ratings kind of reflect that. They're okay. I'm going to hang on to him for now. I'm going to give him a season where I kind of have full control of the stakes, and we'll kind of just go from there. But I don't really, again, have anything super positive or super negative about the guy. I don't. So the 7th overall pick, certainly not nothing. I think immediately jumping out at me is we could maybe look for some help potentially for a backup center. That's just kind of the first thing that comes in mind. But, I'm not sure if there's a bigger trade out there. But if not, I'll just see you guys in the draft. It has been a minute since I have traded for Darius Garland. Again, I'm not really sure why 2K doesn't value him a ton. And we're going to be pulling off a blockbuster today. There's nothing wrong with Jakob Poeltl. I think he is a perfectly fine and almost underrated starting center at this point. But ultimately, if I could make this big of an upgrade in our backcourt with Darius Garland, who in my opinion is a true needle mover, I think it makes a lot of sense for us. So I understand this is going to leave a pretty gaping hole at our starting center spot, and that's certainly something we are going to have to address at some point in time. But to add a guy like Darius Garland, who has been as good as he has this year, I think it makes a lot of sense for me. So Jakob Poeltl, 7th overall pick. We're also acquiring a future pick swap with Minnesota in this deal. And that is, of course, a blockbuster. And I'm happy with it. Whoever we got in the draft was not going to be better than Darius Garland in the 2 years remaining in this video. I think we all are probably in agreement on that. The only other thing, do I have any other draft picks? I did not check that. We do not. So that's okay. Let's zip up to team player options now. Dick and Agbaje are both going to be brought back. Qualifying, we are not going to offer any of these 3 players. And then here in free agency, Brandon Ingram is, of course, priority number 1 for me. He has 9 offers. None of them are, real at this point. So we're going to pay BI. I'm going to consider Boucher. He has a 3-year offer from the Detroit Pistons. He's 32 years old. I think given the lack of flexibility we have at center right now, it wouldn't be the worst idea to consider bringing him back. But again, he's 32. We all know how regression works, but I will give him this for now. So we're going to bring both these guys back. Of course, super excited to get BI locked up long-term. I think he's going to be a really big addition to this team and moving forward in this rebuild. So at this point, it is all about figuring out what I think will be best at our starting center spot because, again, pretty gaping hole right there. We're going to hit up the Charlotte Hornets and see if we can maybe convince them to trade us Mark Williams. Mark Williams, of course, was a Laker for about 48 hours, and then the trade was rescinded because of medical. But unfortunately, for Charlotte here, I guess maybe fortunately, we don't play with injuries on, nor is this realistic. So I'd like to add Mark Williams to this team. We're offering up Battle, Shed, and Jacoby Walter, really because they're the only players we have available for trade that I do not consider long-term pieces for the final 2 years of this rebuild. And again, none of them were going to really be in the rotation moving forward. So I have a couple decisions to make. This first-round pick will be sent to the Pelicans as it was supposed to be. There is nobody on this planet who is worse at updating draft picks than 2K themselves, which is so unbelievably unfortunate. But adding Mark Williams to this team is going to be a big addition. Again, only 23 years old and at that 85 overall already. Maybe already a better option than Jakob Poeltl. So we're kind of all set if we want to be. I don't really see a reason to force the issue and make another move. So what I'm really going to do heading into year number 2 right now is, first and foremost, I'm going to send the New Orleans Pelicans the pick that they're supposed to have from the Toronto Raptors. I'll just see you guys at the start of year 2. Second year for us here in Toronto, and yeah, this came together pretty quickly. Of course, we made 2 major additions with the new point guard in Darius Garland and a new center in Mark Williams, but I like it. I think the 3 guys that we kind of had locked in long-term with Barrett, Ingram, and Barnes are all going to be really important pieces for this video moving forward. And, are we a serious threat in the East? I don't know if that's quite the case yet, but we'll be a playoff team, and we might be able to make some noise. So let's see how it's going to look. It's Darius Garland, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and Mark Williams as your 1 through 5. Again, no real major surprises there. Grady Dick, who is developing quite nicely, up to an 84 overall, will be our 6th man off the bench. Emmanuel quickly actually went down 2 overalls. I'm not really sure why that is or what that's all about, but yeah, wow, his shooting splits were, well, I'd say dreadful, but that would almost be too nice. All right, well, let's work on that, Emmanuel. Chris Boucher, who we brought back, only went down 1 overall. He's going to remain our backup center. You got Jonathan Mbogo and Achai Agbaje rounding out the 10-man rotation. So, again, in my opinion, this is a playoff team. I don't know if we're true contenders, but this is 2K. Anything can happen, and I will see you guys at the end of year number 2. I was wrong. I was wrong about this Raptors team. I said we would not be a serious threat here in the East, and we were, because we went 61-21 and took home the 1 spot. That's pretty awesome. This is an image that is going to haunt me moving forward. Again, what in God's green earth Nico Harrison was thinking is still up in the air, but not getting into that. I've already given a lot of thoughts. Luke is your MVP. Cooper Flag, I'm assuming went number 1 overall. He did. He is your rookie of the year. Ace Bailey is now coming off the bench in Charlotte. Why? I have no idea. Wemby wins Depoy. Delano Banton, most improved. Luka wins clutch player of the year. And Chris Finch, seriously? Couldn't give it a Darko? I know we didn't have the best record, but really? Okay. Yeah. 8 games up on Detroit, actually, for the 1 spot here in the East. And I'm feeling pretty good. I think I don't want to say that we're the favorites to win it all, but we're at a point of this video where, this has come together, as I mentioned, really, really quickly, and I think anything can really happen. So there are the numbers across the board. Let's get into it. We are going to be facing the Chicago Bulls, who just seem destined to be a play-in team for pretty much the rest of their existence. This just doesn't move me at all, so I'm pretty confident we can get by them. All right, we sweep them. Now moving on to the Celtics, who have certainly fallen a bit in the standings. Their team really hasn't changed. I mean, we see a little regression here with Drew Holiday, but other than that, they've added some bench pieces, and they're pretty good, so yeah. Okay, not great. Yeah. Well, that's always tough, right? That's not the way you want things to end there. This is the 2nd round numbers against the Celtics. Tough series for Brandon Ingram. Yeah, Scotty, not your best work. Okay. Damn. I know the Celtics are good. It's just like, come on, man. Jokic and Jaylen Brown are the conference finals MVPs, and the Denver Nuggets get it done in Nikola Jokic's 2nd career finals MVP. Okay, it is now time for the final offseason, and we have to decide, is this starting 5 good enough? Are there any other moves that we really feel are necessary? And I don't really know the answer to that question, if I'm being honest with you. So there is a look at the lottery. I just want to make sure. Okay, the Pelicans at number 23 have the Indiana pick. Good, I assigned it correctly. All right, do we want to keep Darko? It's hard to argue that he deserves to be fired, and I'm not saying that he should be fired. The one thing I'm saying is if we can get like a better rated coach heading into a championship or bust season, I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world. So I am going to fire him. Again, he doesn't deserve it. I'm not firing him because we had a really shitty season or because we got swept by the Celtics in round 2, but we're in an all-in final season here, and I need to be as strong as possible at every department. So I'm going to offer Stauffer. I will offer Missoula, and then actually I'm going to offer an old friend here, Nick Nurse, a contract as well. I don't know who's going to accept. Joe Missoula ends up accepting. It's fine by me. All right, let's approach the 2026 NBA draft. I believe we should have our own first-round pick. We do. We also have the Minnesota pick. It's number 29. What could I do here? Like, just curious. If I, who has, 16 from the Celtics? This, and this. How about if I also include this second and this second? They want another second. Okay, that's fine. Whoever we draft here may or may not end up in the rotation. We're pretty, sound already, but I just don't know if it's, necessarily the best thing in the world to really change up a lot. But we'll see. Nate Ament's a guy I drafted before. Bryson Tilley, Aiden Sheridan. Where's he from? Alabama? Have I drafted you before? I've had some success with Nate Ament, I think, in the past, so he's going to be my pick there. Oh, do we have another pick this year? Oh, we have the 8th overall pick in round 2. All right, I don't know if we're going to get anybody good. Joe Smith, Jerome Morrison, Cliff Barnett. Who has the coolest name? Dusty Pickett is up there. Lyle Weddington, Ivan Popovich. Some cool names here, man. Yep. Mac Wembanyama. We got Wemby, boys. We got Wemby. All right, 76 overall, 66 over. I mean, again, he's not going to play, but you understand. All right, I'm not sure what the moves are going to be. Mark Williams is obviously a guy I'd certainly like to retain. My initial thought right now is that we're not going to be making any major changes to the starting 5. We may or may not have 1 or 2 moves off the bench that I could see possible, but all things considered, this team is really good, and I don't really think there's any reason to really force the issue right now. So maybe one other move. The Atlanta Hawks are willing to deal us Onyeka Okongwu and Vit Krejci for Chris Boucher, Nate Ament, and our future first-round pick. Again, I know we just drafted Nate Ament, and if this was a 10-year rebuild, I'd probably look to hang on to him. This would not be a deal that I made, but Okongwu is a clear upgrade over Boucher, and again, really just adding to this bench unit a little more I think will be beneficial. So I'm pretty comfortable with everything that I'm seeing right now. I don't really think there's another move out there that's going to significantly make us much, much better. So we have a lot of 80-plus overalls, and I fully expect to be back in the mix next season. So let's set the rotation. Third and final season here in Toronto is ready to kick off. The starting 5 remains exactly the same from a year ago with Darius Garland, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and Mark Williams. The bench unit season upgrade come in. Grady Dick will remain the 6th man. Onyeka Okongwu, the new backup center for this team. Super excited about that. Manuel quickly kind of just chilling here. He's making a lot of money for a guy playing 15 minutes a night, but the team got better, and he really hasn't. You got Jonathan Mbogo still here, and then finally Ochai Agbaji. So, I mean, we're almost at the point where this entire 10-man rotation is 80-plus overalls. New head coach here with Joe Mazzulla as well. Of course, a guy who has won a championship before. So, I think this is as good as it's going to get. I truly do. I'll see you guys at the end of the final regular season. It is a new MVP. It is Victor Wembanyama. It is the same exact record as last season for us. I am hoping the playoffs do not end the same as they did just a season ago, but we are 61-21 once again. Cameron Boozer, he's in Miami and your rookie of the year. Josh Giddey found a new home in Indiana, takes home 6th man. Wemby also wins Depoy, Boogie Flan most improved, Devin Booker clutch player of the year, and they do give Joe Mazzulla coach of the year this time around. Okay, let's get into it. We are the 1 seed here. It is the best record in the NBA, so that is the first time we have been able to say that in this video. Here is a look at the numbers. We didn't have a single guy that was 20-plus points a game, but again, it doesn't really matter to me. We had 4 guys averaging over 18 a game. There's no way that's ever happened before, right? Has 4 guys ever averaged 18-plus points a game? I doubt it. All right, let's see what happens here. Round 1, us and Orlando, who is not an easy first-round matchup, no matter which way you shake it out. Paolo and Franz are very, very talented. So I'm a bit nervous right now, to be completely honest with you. We're up 3-1, though, and that is a gentleman's sweep. All right, we're moving on to Detroit, who have added Shaedon Sharpe. Wow, that's a really nice addition. That's a fun backcourt. This team's good. There's no denying that whatsoever. They are a talented bunch there in Detroit. We just might be a little bit better, though. Sweeping. Now moving on to the Atlanta Hawks here. Whoa. All right, 2K. It's going to be one of those days. All right, Luka Doncic going back to the team that originally drafted him. You got Jaden Ivey now here as well. Reza Shea, Johnson, Kadeem Malik. You got Dyson Daniels coming off the bench. Tari Eason, Kobe Buffkin. So no more Trae Young, but I honestly don't think, Atlanta fans would be super mad if Luka Doncic ended up going home to Atlanta. Or home. It was relative, of course. It is Game 7, and it is do or die here. On our home floor, can we hold out against Luka and get this championship? Luka is pretty good on the road in Game 7s, if you do not remember correctly. Oh, shit. Hold on to the lead. Got it? Right? Okay, we're good. And we're taking on the defending champion Denver Nuggets here in the NBA Finals, who had Bam Adebayo somehow. I don't know if they traded Michael Porter Jr. That looks to be the case. And they obviously have the best player in the series. There is no doubt about that in my mind. We are up 2-1 right now. We go up 3-1. As we head back to Toronto here, can we close out Denver on our home floor? Can we get that done? I'd like to. I'd certainly like to. All right, going back and forth. It's going to be a close game. We are down 1. I'll see you guys in there. Under 2 minutes to go, we find ourselves in a 1-point deficit with the basketball. All right, I am nervous. You guys probably are aware I'm not very good at this game. So I need to lock in. I need some laser focus right now. And I really, Scotty, maybe the easiest layup of all time. Jokic, not necessarily known for his defense. Wow, it's actually our first lead of the night. And can we get it done? I have to pick and choose who I want to play defense on because I'm assuming they're probably going to force Jokic the ball, and I do not want to play on-ball defense against him. So Mark Williams with the steal. Scotty, go. Down the floor. Scotty to the rack. Oh, my God. Let's go. And just like that, we go from 1-point deficit to 3-point lead. Oh, my God, man. That's unbelievable. All right. It worked before. We're going to continue to use Scotty Barnes here against Bam Adebayo. Kind of drift off a bit. Bam can certainly shoot a tad bit these days. Oh, boy. This is not going to go well for me. Good defense. Good defense. All right. I will take it. I will take it. All right. Again, we want to waste clock. We do not want to waste the possession. There is certainly a difference between the two. They're going to get RJ Barrett here. RJ. Oh, that might have been a bad shot. I thought I had it, and I forced the issue a little bit. Strother going to the rack. Good defense, RJ. Okay. Barrett made up for it. Barrett made up for it. All right. Darius Garland here. Darius Garland. Again, there is a difference. You want to not waste the possession. You want to waste the clock. I'm going to do this. So we're going to dribble. I'm going to get a screen here from Mark Williams, hopefully. Okay. Garland floats it up. Can't get it to go. That's not great. Oh, boy. Here goes Jokic. Bam going to the rack. If they want to play the foul game, like, I just don't want 3. I can live with 2. I don't want it to happen, but I can live with... Oh, my God. They still miss. They still miss. I don't want Mark... Whoa, Jesus, Jokic. I don't really want Mark... Oh, did it say fouled out? Did that say... Did Jokic foul out? No, he did not. All right. It wasn't in the bonus anyway, so we're good. Of course, they're going to play the foul game almost immediately. Darius Garland going to the stripe now that we're in the bonus, and if we hit 2 free throws, it's basically all she wrote at this point. Garland, first one is up, and it is good. Now, a 2-possession game, and with 17.6 on the clock, it is going to take a pretty big miracle here for us to lose this one. So I'm going to be focused. Again, I'm going to try to deny Jokic from doing what he does best. They're going to kick it over here to Jamal Murray, Christian Brown in the corner. Again, I don't know what they're wasting clock for. They really don't have that luxury right now. Missed it. Game over. It was stressful, but we got it done. Year 3 championship here in Toronto, and Scotty Barnes, he's your finals MVP. All right, man. That is the Brandon Ingram Toronto Raptors rebuild. Again, I don't, really understand it as a short-term play, but I think, committing to BI long-term, if he's a guy that can stay healthy, could eventually become a really, really solid kind of second option to Scotty Barnes, even if he may end up scoring, more points than Scotty Barnes per game. But you understand my point. Like, they're doing something I like a lot in Toronto. They basically signed Brandon Ingram as a free agent in a little bit of a different way, right? They committed to making the trade for him. Didn't give up a lot in terms of value, but they kind of got that foot in the door. And again, probably have some sort of verbal agreement with BI hammered out where they're going to give him a big fat extension this offseason. If they don't do that, I have no fucking idea what you're doing. But this one was fun, man. I hope you guys enjoyed. We put together a really talented team. And yeah, man, I'm happy for Raptors fans. The future is bright. I know it's been a rough couple years. And I am excited to see this team kind of all come together next season. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one again. A few more deadline rebuilds to go. Pretty much the craziest deadline I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, this one was fun. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know any other video ideas down below in the comment section. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.